April 24, 2023 meeting is now called to order. We will have invocation by yours truly and pledge of allegiance led by Councilman Councilman Harrington. Let us stand, please, for invocation. May we pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of this great community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the young adults, the adults and senior citizens of this city. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. We're now to the reading and approval of the minutes from our April 10th, 2023 meeting.
Mayor, make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of April 10th, 2023, and that they be approved, if no corrections, and adopted.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Council, any comments or questions about this motion? Any public comments or questions about this particular motion? Seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we have a few ordinances for final, and the first one is ordinance. What happened?
You have a motion to amend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got my old agenda, y'all. I apologize. So, can I borrow that, please? Where you gotta go? Okay. I grabbed the wrong one. We have special recognition, that's right. And I'm not good at rank, but I do appreciate any service that any of our men and women of uniform give to our country. And we have that honor today of having Mr. Michael Selby. And I certainly want him, when he comes up, to share with us his current rank that he has in the military. But
Mayor,
he
I'll
will
make a
be
motion.
retiring.
Let's make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Mayor, this time
Oh,
to
look, I am
amend.
just so messed up today.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add special recognition.
I'll second.
Okay, this is the right way, right? All right, motion's made and seconded to amend the agenda. Comments, questions, council? Any public comments or questions about this motion? I see none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, thank you, that motion carries. Now we have special recognition. Mr. Michael L. Selby is with us today. Before we have him come up and share any remarks he may want to share, we do have Councilman Nielsen, who has a special recognition that he'd like to read. So go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to present this proclamation. State of Louisiana, City of Natchitoches, Mayor Ronnie Williams, Jr. Whereas First Sergeant Michael L. Selby was born in Belhaven, North Carolina, January 22nd, 1963. He graduated from Matamusket Skeet High School in June 12, 1981, entered the U.S. Army in June 29, 1981, completing basic training and advanced individual training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. First Sergeant Selby retired from the U.S. Army July 1, 2004. During his 23 years of service, First Sergeant Selby has held leadership positions as Section Chief, Gunnery Sergeant, Platoon Sergeant, Intelligence NCO IC, First Sergeant, and Senior Military Instructor at Lehigh University. Whereas his assignments include 1st Battalion, 39th Field Infantry, Kitzingen, Germany, 3rd Battalion, 6th Field Artillery, Fort Riley, Kansas, 2nd Battalion, 11th Field Artillery, Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, 1st Battalion, Battalion 507th PIR, Charlie Company, Fort Benning, Georgia, 5th Battalion, 8th Field Artillery Regiment, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, 120th Infantry Brigade, Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, 2nd Battalion, 82nd Field Artillery, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, Texas, Lehigh University, ROTC, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and is currently the JROTC instructor at Natchitoches Central High School. Whereas his military and civilian education and training includes the primary leadership course, the basic non-commissioned officers course, the advanced non-commissioned officers course, airborne school, air assault course, combat lifesaver course, instructor training course, first sergeant's course, cadet command leadership course, and junior ROTC leadership course, and an associate's degree from Central Texas College. Whereas First Sergeant Selby's awards and decorations include Meritorious Service Medal, 4 Oak Leaf Cluster, Army Commendation Medal, 4 Leaf Cluster, Army Achievement Medal, 7 Oak Leaf Clusters, Good Conduct Medal, 7th Award, National Defense Service Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal, NCO Professional Development Ribbon with numeral 3, Army Service Ribbon, Kuwait Liberation Medal, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait Liberation Medal, 2 Bronze Stars, Joint Meritorious Unit Award, Parachutist Badge, and Air Assault. Was also awarded the Natchitoches Central High School 2017-2018 Teacher of the Year, Natchitoches Parish 2018-2019 Teacher of the Year. Whereas he is married to Donna Lynn Selby, they have 4 children, 3 daughters, Antoinette and Ambrosia, Alaya, 1 son, Aaron, and 3 grandchildren. They currently reside in Leesville, Louisiana. Now, therefore, I, Ronnie Williams, Jr., Mayor and Council, wish to commend First Sergeant Michael L. Selby on his years of service to our city and parish students. Your actions have inspired us. Thank you for your service. Cheers to you, and wish you all the best in retirement this Monday, April 24, 2023. And I move that we adopt the proclamation.
I second.
It's just
Or
a
special recognition.
It's just special recognition. What's that rank, Lieutenant?
So many.
What is it? What is the current line, Mr. Selby? First Sergeant. Hey, will you come forward for us, please? I don't know if there's some remarks.
I won't be
that you'd
seeing
like
you
to
at
make.
Natchitoches Central anymore. I said I will not be seeing you at Natchitoches Central anymore.
Mr. Selby, will you please state your first and last name? You could do your rank as well. I'm always intrigued by that. And certainly, sir, before you make remarks, thank you for your service, not only to our country, but to the generation that's coming and who's going to fight for us, because there's some, we don't know, 5 years, what could happen. You know, we're seeing things in the news, but we really appreciate your service to our country and to the youth of this community who are going to serve our country very soon. So please state your first and last name with your rank. Okay, First Sergeant, there you go.
Yes.
Okay.
I am First Sergeant Michael Selby, and first honor your guys humble me. I am humbled this afternoon. It has truly been my pleasure to work in Nike. It has been the best job I have ever had. Only thing I put it second to is when I gave my life over to Christ. It carries that magnitude. It has been my pleasure. It's good to look around the room and see some familiar faces. It makes me feel comfortable. Chief, you know, you just been, Miss Betty, y'all do me, you honor me here today. and I am humbled in your presence. I would just like to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you, because I know you didn't have to, but serving this community, the kids, the students, the cadets here has made it all worthwhile. I love the job because I love your kids. If you've ever had a child that come to Natchitoches Central and join the JRTC program, that's one of the things that I introduce to them is love. I love them from the moment they walk in their classroom until the moment we have parted ways, and most of them, when they graduate, we still stay in contact. I cherish their success. I look forward to the things that they do in life and all the things they become. I'm just going to mention Chief Wynn because his son came through my program, and now he's a state trooper. I watched him grow from a police officer to a deputy to now a state trooper. Those are the type of impact that our program brings to your community. And I am so honored that you guys, when you're elected, and some of you wasn't here when that job was, to allow me to come and work, not just in your community, but to work with your kids. That's something you entrust that is dear and near to my heart, because not everybody had the opportunity to influence your children. And I have partaken in that for 17 years. And it has been indeed my pleasure from day one until my last. That's why when she said, it's better when you say I'm coming back, we'll see if they'll come call me in part-time. But I depart, not because I'm old and tired. That's not my reason. But I do like to share with y'all to understand the reason why, because I love it here. This is like home to me. And Confucius once said, if you ever find a job that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. And for the last 17 years, I have never worked at Natchitoches Central. It has always been fun to me. Each and every day I go to work. It has been fun. I have enjoyed it. I relish in those moments, and I hate to leave it, but my mother's health is not at its best. And so I have a choice. I always believe the Bible says you give a man an honest day's work. And if you can't do that, then I think you should leave. Because of her health, it may pull me away, and then someone had to step in and fill in my absence. And I think that's unfair to you guys. You don't pay me to take care of my mother. You pay me to take care of my kids, your kids. So in doing so, I want to honor you by doing right by your children. They deserve me 100%. That's why I give them from day one until my last. Nothing less is acceptable to me. So that is the reason why I step away. Because if I can't give you 100%, I don't think I should do it, because your kids mean that much to me. Every day I get in there.
Stand up, Ad. Stand up, Ad.
Come on,
Stand up,
Selma.
Ad.
Come up here.
Say while he's coming, when I call on Mrs. Selby and JRPC to help in any way, he is always there, always. And I just want to commend him for that.
And y'all push him to us so we can get everybody down there. Hey, y'all ready? You ready?
I'm like, precious, I need a tissue.
All righty. Again, it's always great to see, and certainly thank you for your service again. We're now moving on to ordinances that are for final, and first ordinance is read by Councilman Harrington.
This was introduced at the previous meeting. This is for final vote. I'll read by title only. This is ordinance 20 of 2023, which is an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches to award the bid for a bucket truck for the city of Natchitoches Utility Department, bid number 0657. I move to adopt ordinance 20 of 2023.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. It's been a little while, but I believe Matt explained this as such that we need to go ahead and get basically in line. It's a two-year waiting period on the bucket truck. I think everybody remembers that conversation. Council, you got any comments or questions about that? Okay, are there any public comments or questions about this agenda item? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 23 of 2023, read by Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 023 of 2023, and the ordinance amending ordinance number 059 of 2011 of the City of Natchitoches, Louisiana, to repeal the descriptions and destinations of existing City of Natchitoches City Council districts, establish new City of Natchitoches City Council districts, describe the boundaries of each new district, and otherwise provide for an effective date of the ordinance. And I so move that ordinance number 023 be adopted.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 23 of 2023. We do have Mr. Cedric Floyd here today, and I think the council members know him well, been meeting with him and everything. Certainly the best part about him is his wife, Rose, who is back. I don't think he disagrees with me on that, right?
His background.
All right, so we want to turn it over to Mr. Floyd. Please state your first and last name and whatever presentation you have
Cedric
to kind of
Floyd.
explain this process.
President of Data Center LLC, a company has been doing redistricting for the last 43 years in the state. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and other elected and appointed officials. Every 10 years, every government entity has to review their district lines for population change. Based on the 2020 U.S. Census, your district, your city council districts were a little bit out of balance. So over the last year, I've met with each council member at least 3 times to review changes, possible options. And tonight is a plan that is reflective of the city, the 2020 U.S. Census for the city of Natchitoches. And I'm looking forward to a unanimous vote. Like I said, everything all considered, and it's been advertised. And like I always say, Mayor, I look forward to serving you after the 2030 census. I just want you to know every 10 years, and I'll be around 10 years from now.
Every
With my
10
wife.
years?
Every 10 years.
I mean, you just continue to live?
100% is, and also I want to commend the city council members. Had a great time meeting with each one of you, and like I said, look forward to seeing you. Some parish councils, school boards have term limits. I don't know if you have term limits or not. If not, I look forward to seeing all of you after the 2030 census, okay? Just wanted to say that. But like I said, that this plan is reflective of the city, reflective of the city council, and everybody had input on the plan. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, thank you,
And
Mr. Floyd.
I'll answer any questions anybody has. Yes, ma'am.
What were the major changes? Was there a major change in any district?
Well, District 2 had was overpopulated, so it had to gain, and also districts, 4 in 1. Yeah, so the major change was the reduction in population of District 2. And adding to 1 and 4.
And look,
Everybody retained there in the same district. Yeah, so it was no change. Everybody, all 4 council members are in that same district. Mhm. This is
1.
2, 4, 3.
We're out of order for some reason, but
Yeah.
it's just
yeah,
always been like.
sooner or later this will be posted on your website, and like I said, this is a reflection of the board, of the city council, and of the city. And
So you can see on the map, it's by color. So for instance, my district's yellow.
And mine is pink. That's District 1, yellow.
On the big map. Oh, Lakeview?
Lakeview is. Should be
green.
Rosemary.
You're green.
Oh, she's
You're in the
Lakeview
blue.
apartment.
My
Yeah,
favorite
she should
color.
be. Lakeview is you, right? Aren't you Lakeview? Aren't you
Ms. Stacy?
Lakeview?
do we need to do anything?
Fish Hat Woodyard.
No, we got 2 there.
Yeah, yeah, that's you.
Maybe it can kind of show.
Rosemary, were you pink?
This
I
area.
think it's
was
purple.
blue.
It's
That'd be
purple.
just purple.
It's like a,
I was gonna say, maybe you can kind of show.
It's a
like-
fuchsia.
Mine's the easiest to see, because the yellow went down here,
Yeah.
but the other ones would be easy to show.
this is a rose.
Chris
Okay.
Green.
All right. Council, any comments or questions here?
I just want to say thank you for working with us and meeting with us all these times, and we were like, well, I think we need another meeting, and you said, okay, we'll get it together, so thank you for doing that. And hopefully, like you said at the beginning, your plan is to get an unanimous vote. And I was like, what's that? I said, work for it. Yeah, and I was like, is that really gonna happen? We'll see. But thank you for doing that, thank you for working with us.
Y'all have done a tremendous job.
Okay. Any other comments, council? Any public comments or questions here? Okay. Seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes,
PT.
Yes.
you got it.
All right.
You
All right.
won.
Motion carries. Motion carries. All right, we got to see you come through sometimes now. He spent a lot of his time in Natchitoches, even though he would have clients in Caddo and Webster and Mansfield, and
Helping our,
Rapids.
at least 125 days here in Natchitoches.
Wow.
Wow. Good deal. All right, motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 24 of 2023. Councilman Nielsen.
This was introduced at the last meeting, ordinance adopting the budget for the city of Natchitoches for the fiscal year June 1, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. And this is up for final. I'm going to hold off on the motion till after comment.
Okay. All right.
I guess I'll go first with the comments. I've looked over the budget. Something can admit that had not done in the past, but I did have an opportunity to kind of fully look through the budget, and I was not pleased with some things that I saw. Had some concerns about some issues that I saw in relation to the budget, and one of them being the Crime Stoppers budget. I saw where some funds, the budget was being cut with Crime Stoppers. We talk about crime in Natchitoches and trying to curb it or stop it or prevent it. And then we're going to cut the budget that I feel that's desperately needed to help continue with deterring crime. And Crime Stoppers, I know, have been very effective with, from what I've heard, getting some of these cases solved. And they're needing a larger budget to work with because they have more cases being called in, crimes being called in, and they need more monies to work with. So that's one of the issues that I'm concerned about. Also,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Clarissa.
okay.
Can I address that
Yeah.
one thing?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so the Crime Stoppers budget was not cut. When we were reviewing each line item in the budget, we reviewed it for over budgeting as well as under budgeting, right? So previously, that line item was budgeted for $75,000. Not sure why in the past, because the CEA states that we will provide $20,000 of support to the Crime Stoppers. So that particular budget was not cut; it was right-sized to what the CEA listed as what the support of what the city of Natchitoches would do monetarily to support. We actually left it at 30 just in case, just a little cushion just in case anything substantial came up. But I just want to make it everybody aware that it wasn't cut; it was right-sized to what the CEA listed. So it does not minimize any efforts that we've stated that we would do to support Crime Stoppers.
Well, maybe when I said cut, I meant maybe decrease. I said cut. I used the term cut.
No,
But it's
no, no.
decreased by 60% from the 75 to $30,000.
Right, but it doesn't, it doesn't limit them from their operations, because we did agree that we would actually give $20,000 of support to Crime Stoppers. Go ahead, and that's just what's listed in the CEA, but if you had.
Come on.
My name's Carmela Parker. I'm the president of Crime Stoppers, and the original CEA listed out $40,000. And the first year we had 40,000. That was our first year. And then the second year we received $30,000. And so this is basically giving us the same amount of money that we had from last year. What I can tell you is that for Crime Stoppers, we operate just a smidgen different than other Crime Stoppers. We do give out money, but we keep it very private in the sense of we do a yearly readout at the end. And the reason why is that we don't want individuals kind of correlating, well, they got an award for X crime. Maybe that person turned me in, and maybe we know who it possibly could be. So we keep it for a whole year, and then we, as it was Sergeant Greeley, or am I saying it right, Sergeant? Is it Captain Sergeant Greeley? Captain Greeley, I'm sorry. Captain Greeley read out, Corporal Greeley read out to y'all last year, and we're hoping to do that once more at the end for July. So we kind of talked about at our last meeting that we'd probably do maybe every 6 months, maybe say something like how much money we've given out. And then at the end of the year, we'd say, this many crimes, this is what they were by our Corporal Greeley. So it kind of like we have a commitment to keep the community safe. And so sometimes there are blowbacks from tipsters possibly, and we don't want that. So we do everything that we can. We still believe that you're innocent until proven guilty, right? We still believe that. But we also want to make sure that people understand that we take it being anonymous very, very seriously. And so what I can tell you again is that the calls, according to Corporal Greeley, have been coming in, and the Chief of Police can testify to that and verify that as well. We've been getting more calls, more tips, and I can tell you our rewards are increasing. I won't say the amount, we'll do that readout, remember, because I am committed to making sure that it's private and it's working. And I wanted to make sure that y'all knew that. And for those reasons, I actually asked our accountants to kind of say, well, if we are doing X amount in our awards and we anticipate maybe 2 more coming in for the year, what does that look like? So currently, right now, we have $30,000, and we're very grateful for the funding and support here. But in the case that we get additional ones, we can see us needing maybe a 6% increase each year, or whatever that looks like based upon whatever tips may come in. Because I think finally it's kind of resonating with the community that it's there. And our vice president says the following, it's like an insurance policy. It's there if you need it. It's just there if you need it. And so again, please, please, please use that P3 app. Definitely give that phone call a call if you need it, 238-2388, and if you have a crime to call in. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I know we mentioned too that fundraising. I know that probably
Absolutely.
really hasn't happened, but the idea too is to leverage what we're getting from the city to do some fundraising.
Absolutely.
Which,
And
that's the goal, to have that be a part of the money that comes in.
And we
to Crime
did. We
Stoppers.
did do one fundraise. We came up alongside at the Ben G. Johnston for the crawfish boil. We did one fundraise, and then we have another one planned in the spring. We also, our public director, service of extraordinaire, she mentioned that we needed to go ahead, and we're going to send those letters out again to remind individuals or businesses, maybe if they'd like to support So we've had some private funds come in last year, or the first year, our first year in, but we plan on giving it out as well. And we also plan on going to the parish and asking them to support as well. So we know we've got to have some discussions and dialogue with them as well. But I do believe that this is a city initiative and that we're very grateful for the city's support and stuff like that, because
Yep.
we're all volunteering our time.
Yep, so we're still committed to Crime Stoppers.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We are.
Yep.
But need more money to operate with.
So it sounds like if the CEA was 40,000, but I'm confused.
Well,
We had it budgeted at 75, but it sounds like that was a mistake.
Well, I can't say that it was a mistake.
'Cause it
that
wasn't-
was
it wasn't
that
you
was-
originally.
No, it was not
I know,
under,
yeah,
under my oversight, but based on their usage, which the first year, it did have in the CEA that we would give them startup funds of 20,000, then an additional 20,000 for operations. So that's where the 40,000 came from, was the startup money and then the 20,000 of operations. The city did decide the second year then to give the 30,000, even outside of it not being a startup year. And then this year, we're honoring that to leave our budget at 30,000 as well. So we've supported them based on the agreement and their usage of the funds. So I'm sure that at any time, additional monies may be needed because this program grows, which we hope, that this program grows tremendously, then I'm sure that the city would definitely want to be a part of that growth and continue that relationship.
I don't believe that there's any daylight between the city and Crime Stoppers.
Right.
We're grateful for the funding level support, and we're thankful that we're even on the budget. So we're grateful, and we just wanted to make you aware that those awards, thankfully, as a city, we're coming together, and people are utilizing the avenues to report crimes. So there's no daylight between the city and us.
Thank you.
Okay. But if there could be more money, we'll come back. Do believe that.
Thanks a lot for your service there.
Also, I see there's a wage salary increase in all of the departments for part-time. So can you kind of elaborate on that? Well, are we looking at trying to give all the part-time workers an increase in salary, which probably needed?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. Let me
And what
let you finish.
percentage?
So, no, ma'am, we're not. So it's not a particular percentage. When we did our salary analysis, it was disclosed that it was for full-time employees. So as we talked about, this may come back up, but as we talked about the rate increases for our utilities, that was tied to a salary analysis for police and fire and municipal, but for full-time employees. The increase that you may see in particular departments may be that department heads spoke with us directly on particular individuals that we needed to review for a possible adjustment. One thing that we did do last year, we've kind of carried that forward, and it was a few people that we missed that we wanted to make sure we went back and rectified, was we wanted to take our base from $8 to $10, and we definitely focused a lot on employees that were working in the outside elements for the majority of their day. So we took a look at that because originally it was that they would come in at $8, and this was for our part-time people. So we boosted it up because we felt like, of course, looking at a market analysis and household income, that was a little bit low. So we wanted to boost it up to 10. We've also looked at departments that needed additional staffing as well. I mean, and you do that anytime you go through a budget process. You look at your staffing profile. We looked at particular positions that have been stale for a while that we may have wanted to re-engage. And this is not like any type of managerial or supervisory position, but just our frontline staff that we may want to re-engage. So if you see any type of change there, increase, more than likely is for one of those reasons. We are not doing an across-the-board increase on all part-time.
Because some departments have one part-time, two, and the most I've seen has been 7 part-time workers. Now, in the indirect, when I looked at in the indirect budget, which is supposed to be a part-time position, the largest increase I've projected here has been up to 69% for one part-time employee with, okay, you said the others came in at from $8 to $10. And this one-time employee, I don't know which department, from $32,172 part-time to a proposed $55,151 salary, which is, if my math's correct, a monthly increase of $1,000, almost $2,000 a month increase, and a yearly increase of $22,511. And if this was on an hourly rate, it would be like, what, $28 an hour for a part-time employee.
So I don't wanna go into too much detail about a particular
In which you
employee.
got,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
you got police officers and fire departments, and they're coming in at $10, $15 an hour, and one department head coming in at $28 part-time, and
What?
these are working full-time workers.
So salary is
At
based.
$10.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
keep
No,
cutting you off.
no,
I'm like
no,
trying
no,
to-
no. Go ahead.
Look, the words on the tip of my tongue, right? So these salaries are based on position, expertise, and job duties. So we can't really just say one person versus all others, because you may be talking about, and please do not get me wrong, you may be talking about a groundsman with utilities, and then you could be talking about an accountant. So you can't really just say one person, because it's based on their job expertise, credentials, and job duties. Each capacity is rated at a different level. So not to get into too much detail in the open forum about a particular person, if we're just looking at that particular line item, is because of the expertise or the particular position of that line item, not just because it's part-time.
I think it's the position of outreach manager and grant manager position, from what I was told, from what I'm looking at, rather. And what is the specific duties of, and title? I mean, this is from what I was told, a title created, given, have various duties. So what would be the duties of outreach manager and grant manager? Because we are paying grant writer, over $7,500 a month to write our grants, whereas my understanding of managing would be, once we get the grants, they just let the community know, well, we've won the grant, but now actually doing the work of, securing
Yeah, I
grants.
think I could say something.
Okay.
No, and I appreciate that. Look, yeah, you did mention Merchant McIntyre, and I think some of you weren't here earlier, I did spend some time going over some of the grant wins, which are.
And Mayor, as long as we don't go into any.
And I'm not trying to pick on anyone, believe me that I'm not, but I just can't see, given this kind of an increase, this is over $43,500 increase in a salary for what, on a part-time basis?
Okay, I want to make sure, whatever the conversation is, we don't get into any, details of the character of the employee, and we stick to the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to mention about our grant wins. And I think all but, of course, I mentioned the one in fall 2021 HVAC. That was Fry McGee, that did that one for us. And then we had Schuler, I think, mad work on and got that DRA grant for us on the Kaiser Lift Station. But, and you did mention Merchant McIntyre, that is $7,500, and that's a steep deal. They've been certainly really, really helpful. But I will say we have a team on the ground that has to include Nick Verrett on the DOT side, of course Nicole Gray as well, that they are able to do some things that Merchant McIntyre, obviously there's some limitations. Merchant can do some things in DC because they're there. We're not there. They could call a meeting real quick, but we have to do some things here. And so when you win a grant, as we mentioned, the $17.2 million was huge. These are highly, highly competitive grants. What I mean is, and I said this before, 5 cities in Louisiana got that raise grant, but there were way more than 5 that tried. when you talk about the $5 million water system improvement grant, I think I remember saying that there were at least $4 billion in requests, and $750 million were awarded. So these are highly competitive grants that do take a skill that, quite frankly, not everybody has the patience for. And it's not just on the winning side, it's on the administration side. You have to send documents in. In fact, we just finished up sending some documents down for the water sector grant that's going to allow us to alleviate the budget $5 million for a project we have to have. And that's really important, really massive for us. I mentioned the $280,000 Safe Streets grant. There were 11 cities in Louisiana that got that planning grant. We were one of them. The likes of New Orleans and Monroe and some others. So I don't know, maybe some people are taking for granted that these things, maybe you think that these things are just given to us. And there's really some tedious work, some hard work. There's a political side of it, but there's also, of course, the narrative side. But then, where Merchant McIntyre doesn't, what they don't do, they write the grant, they deliver us the win. We've had 3 wins with them so far. But we've had some wins outside of that. I mentioned the $5 million grant. That was by our local folks here. Of course, Nicole Gray is our grants writer. I'm sure the engineer had helped out with some of the stuff the engineers could do, to the extent I know Matt probably was influential with that. I also mentioned the $100,000 Affordable Connectivity Broadband Grant. I went to Ruston. Randy, you were there. Not Ruston, that was West Monroe. But the first thing the mayor of Ruston says to me, and we know he's one who's known to be somebody who's active in getting grants, he said, I want to know, how did y'all get that broadband grant? We were one of only 4 cities. And I mean, I know we're close to it, you know, but not every city is getting these wins like this at this point. In fact, when we go to places like the Midwinter Conference, and you have an Alex Holland, for instance, who calls out the city of Natchitoches for getting a $17.2 million raise grant, everybody's not getting those, or are these other ones. And so my point is that there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not just winning grants. Shoot, I know you're talking about upping the budget for $23,000. I wish I could really up it to $150,000 to have 3 grant writers that we're paying on a part-time basis, but I would divide them up into agencies so we can maximize every opportunity we can. We had a few department heads who went to, I think Matt, Kevin, you went, Randy, you went. No, you didn't, not Randy. To that rural funding summit. No, Matt and Kevin and Nick Perret. This is from, I went today. There was one in Ruston. This is the one in Leesville. And it was great, but again, these things are not falling from the sky. Somebody's got to read this and stay on it. And quite frankly, we don't have enough capacity. I need more. But USDA was there. LDH was there talking about a great program. This clearance program, I think Chantrell heard this one. Clearance program to help us with demolitions. I think maybe what should happen is some of us up here, including myself, should go through this process and even manage a grant to see what it takes. So many different programs. And of course, Councilman Nielsen and Councilman PT, we were in DC, and Councilman Nielsen, you didn't see this part, but here's my information from DC. All of the available funding that is out there. So when you consider the fact that to even do consulting on these grants could be $50,000 per grant. We asked a Baton Rouge firm to do some managing, some project managing on the RAISE grant. 17.2 mil, right? Their price tag to manage that project for us, $400,000. So I know we're saying, oh, you're going up by $23,000, but that is still a massive savings. compared to what we could be charged by consultants for each grant. So for me, I think it's a nominal increase. If you just look at what's all out there, I mean, come on, folks. I mean, it's in the press releases. It's in, you know, we're winning here. We're doing great. But that doesn't come just by being Natchitoches. That takes hard work.
And yeah, and a lot of our representatives and senators, they've been helping us secure these grants. And also, you said you wish more of us worked with grants, and I'm working right now with some people with the grant. So some of us up here may already have expertise working with grants, I don't know. But that was one of my main concerns, was paying this type of money for a part-time position. I also had another issue, if you finish, I have another issue, which with the Public Works Department, if they could maybe get an increase. They're needing equipment in their department. We're talking about the streets being bad and that type of stuff. And they need equipment that they need to work with, and maybe look at trying to increase their budget a little bit more to help with some of the issues that we get as councilmen sitting up here. And it's a 24/7, 365, you know, about the streets, limbs, garbage, trash, and they need the equipment to help do these things in the community, to keep the city clean, because everybody complaining about what the city looks like, and they need the equipment to work with.
Yes, ma'am. So I know this upcoming year, we can kind of rewind this a little bit. We have invested quite a bit of money in public works equipment this year. I know over $150,000 has been invested in equipment. And then this upcoming year, we have some big ticket items that we are in equipment that we're going to be purchasing for Public Works. I do want to just make mention that each director has the opportunity to come to us with their request and their immediate needs, and we definitely hear those out. We've done a lot in regards to personnel also for Public Works. Just kind of responding to the loss of the inmates that we had previously and the work that they were able to put forth. We took a look at the Public Works staffing profile and improved that dramatically, I would say, to help support that as well. So, and I won't take all the shine from Mr. Donald, but if he has any comments, but we have taken a very close look at Public Works to support them. Mr. Donald has done a great job with his team, and we've tried to honor that as much as possible through this budgeting process.
I had a question concerning the overtime with the Public Works. I noticed that there was, let's see, it was like 45,000 that was a decrease of 45,000. Is that because of the part-time workers coming on board?
Well, that's because of the additional full-time workers. So what we took a look at was, and most of that, and I'll say most of that overtime comes through our holiday season when we have the festivals and things of that nature. But what me and Mr. Donald try to work together is saying, okay, the cost of overtime and then the cost of another position. So what we did was we added 3 positions to Public Works, and then we also made a couple of their positions full-time that will give them more flexibility. So in turn, we can reduce the amount of overtime. So you can see what those additional staff members did to that number. We were able to reduce that dramatically because, you know, overtime is paid time and a half. So when you look at that, adding another personnel can help that dramatically.
So we added 3 full-time with Public Works.
We added 1 part-time, 2 full-time.
And I have a question. With planning and zoning area, why was the demolition and grass cut down? It was from 3173, but they only getting right at 13,000 now.
Let me see. Let me go back to that. This is all. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
It's on page 33.
Okay, I can take a look at that.
33, Rose?
Yeah, 33. I'm sorry.
Let me just say this while you're looking for that. A lot of employees come to us about issues that they don't feel comfortable coming to you or the mayor with about. So they come to us about these issues because they don't want retaliations from you all. And I know that's been happening a lot. And so, you say they could come to you. A lot of them don't want to come to either of you to discuss. So they call on us.
I stated that they can come to us.
Yeah, you did.
Department heads? I think you said
I'm not
department
just saying
heads.
department heads, but I'm just
I think
saying
you said department heads.
I'm saying employees in
okay.
general.
Yeah, so, through the process, we talked to each of the department heads. Clarissa more so about things that they want on their list. But I'll say, since you brought that up, Councilwoman at Large, that's why we established a true HR, where we have one person doing HR. And again, I said before, it's nothing against Ed.
And who is that?
I think Ed is a really solid employee. He gets things done. But he was doing human resources. But I felt it needed to be somebody who only does human resources. And that's Sarah Oob. She's at the event center. And I did that on purpose as well, so it could be kind of some, how do you say it, some privacy, some, when you go to the event, instead of coming to City Hall, then, they coming to City Hall. You go to the event center, you don't have as much traffic, and you won't have, I don't think that issue is such as that. So yeah, Sarah Oob is at one, located at the event
And she doesn't
center.
have control over her office, and her salary isn't as much as these other part-time positions. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You put all these work on people who are actually doing work. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Actually doing the work, and they're not making the monies for the work that they're doing.
Well, I
That's
mean, you're
just not
talking.
fair.
Well, here's I don't know what you mean, but that's what we talk about, the salary increases is what we're doing. I mean, I don't know why you're all angry now. We're on the cusp.
I'm not angry.
Well,
I'm just telling you.
I'm saying we're on the
how I
cusp
feel.
of introducing the salary increases. So I don't know where this is coming from.
What salary increases are we referring to now?
You don't remember the whole discussion we had back in January? We stayed here till about 9 o'clock at night.
So tell me, refresh my mind.
Yeah, so of course we did a pay plan. You remember we got fire up to 11. We got police starting at 16 from 13, and then there'll be a bump for others based on, position, and kind of using the Johansson study to some extent to guide that. So our plan is to start those effective May 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
Okay, we talked about that. We know about the police and fire. We know about that.
yeah, but the others as well. The
Yeah,
others are included in that too.
Non-civil was also included in that market analysis.
Yeah, I think we shared that on the PowerPoint.
But I'm going to answer, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Can I answer Ms. Eli's question? So you said demolition and grass cutting?
Yes.
Is that the line? Okay, so we have 35,000 budgeted for that. So we actually increased it by 5,000 for the upcoming year.
Okay, so on the vehicles line washed, and then she already have a vehicle, so that money could be used towards something else.
Well, it was already, so if you're looking at your, the bonded copy that you have in front of you, there's no money budgeted for vehicles. That was one thing that, and I do thank Ms. Chantrell for the feedback in her review, which was great. We've already reallocated that within her department. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, been
Ms.
taken care of.
Clarissa, I'm just trying to make sure we're clear. So that line item with the demolition, I'm looking at it and it says that the proposed budget is 24,000 and the prior budget was 30,000, and it shows like a negative 20%.
Which line item are you, I don't know if it's, I don't think that's planning and zoning.
Yeah, demolition, grass and cutting.
Yeah, page 33.
Yeah, are you looking at your binded copy?
Yeah, this,
No, this one right
oh,
here.
I'm sorry, all right,
Oh,
okay.
that's
the
okay.
other copy.
Okay. All right.
Is it different than one that was given to us?
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't show that in my initial copy, but,
Are
this
the page
binded-
numbers different, maybe? I don't know.
It
No?
may be just
Maybe
on
not.
how the document is
On
printed.
page
No, I mean, are the
30 is
numbers
Randy
different? This
Cass
is
in
the
his
one
binder.
So this binded copy, and when you're looking at planning and zoning,
I'm looking at Randy Cass.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, so we may have that same type of account under various departments, so we just want to make sure we're looking at planning and zoning.
That's where I was getting that number from, and that's, when she first brought that up about the decrease to planning and zoning, that's what we seen. It was money taken away from that department. So most of the calls we get, you know, it's gonna either be planning and zoning or public works, and we most definitely don't want to strip any money for those departments.
Yes, sir, definitely agree. So that's why we actually bumped it
Okay.
from 30
I'm
to
sorry, I had the
35.
wrong document.
That's okay.
My concern is, this is the one we've been given to review. We got this one today, and now the numbers are different.
Well, no, they're not different in the entirety. So the only thing that changed,
Added the
under
mayor's statement?
Well, sorry.
Added the mayor's statement
Yeah,
to
we
it?
added the mayor's statement, and then in the review, we looked at the 27,000 that was under vehicles, and we reallocated that amount. So there shouldn't have been any other
Well, I see.
changes, because if it was not crossing over departments, it was within the department. Just reallocating it to a different line item. It was not a crossover of a particular department.
So are you saying this one line item in planning and zoning that he found and that we discovered is different, is the only one in this whole thing that's different?
Within planning and zoning's budget, yes, sir.
Oh, so there may be other things different in this, from the one we were given?
No, sir, nothing substantial, other
I don't think
than,
anything changed.
No,
Nothing really
sir.
changed.
Well,
because I hadn't,
So I don't know if anything.
I do see the increase in the new
New.
document, yeah.
yeah.
For planning and zoning, so.
So the totals stay the same. We didn't have to increase revenues. We didn't have to increase expenditures. That was just one thing that the director saw that she could use that money in other areas. So we reallocated that to some of the same line items that are within her budget. So it was not a change in their budget. It was just a reallocation.
Yeah, now I will say, just to remind everybody about the ARPA, there's if you see on your pamphlet, that neighborhood cleanup, I think there's about 100,000 left that we haven't, and I talked to Chantrell about what's our next round of demolitions, and we're gonna, work through that and put something before you here pretty soon for that. So I know you mentioned demolitions. Because of ARPA right now, I know it's not in the regular budget, but because we still have ARPA right now, we do have some funds that can go toward your quote-unquote neighborhood cleanup.
I have a question on page 70, the contractual services consultants. I'm assuming that's the DC grant writers? I'm assuming that, because I remember,
What's that number?
well, it was 90,000, that would be them, right, the 75?
Yeah.
A month.
Does it say 90 now still?
No, it says now 146.
Okay.
So that is the DC grant writers, and then that is also, and I do not have that in front of me, I'm so sorry, the line item that was on your wish list for the consultant for the, please correct me if I'm
Baton Rouge.
wrong. Yeah.
Baton Rouge,
I know
yeah.
you mentioned them.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to y'all Baton Rouge
Yeah.
consultants.
Yeah.
Yes, we had used some before.
Yes.
But I think we'll be successful.
Yeah,
Randy
so
has
it's-
had a
yeah.
conversation with those folks. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money on the state right now, and I really
Yeah.
just don't want to miss that opportunity to
Right.
get some of that state. We've been successful in getting some of the federal. We hadn't at this time, well, we've been successful in state in terms of water sector, in terms of Love Louisiana, the grant programs, but the capital outlay process is one I hope we could be successful in. So that's the reason to hire their firm. So yeah,
Okay.
Delta Resource Group.
Yeah.
I'll be meeting with them tomorrow.
And on the next page, 71, it has 50,000 for bad debts. What is bad debts? What does that line item mean?
Now, that is pretty much just a accounting field that anytime we have bad debt towards any receivable that is on our books, we have to book it as an expense as well, because anytime that it's booked as a receivable, you have to be able to reverse that on your books and apply it to that expense. Now, of course, the city doesn't have a lot of bad debt because we don't engage in a lot of different things, but the biggest thing is any type of leasing or rental agreements that we have in place, anything that we invoice, we have to set up that, what they call, I hate to use the word, but what they call a dummy account almost, because you have to recognize that bad debt if any time, say for instance, something is dissolved and they're not able to pay us, then you have to recognize that that is bad debt.
What page is
So which
that?
page is on?
Because we don't have that.
Yeah.
71.
71.
We're looking at 71.
In the big book or the
Which
little
book?
book?
I'm only looking at the book that I was given to look at. Yeah.
Hold on one second, I can try to find that line item for you.
Well, it's not on either one of mine.
Hold on one second, it's a $50,000 line item, if I'm not mistaken, from my remembrance.
That's right, that is right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see it in the binder. I don't see it on
Yes.
this one.
Let's
That's it.
see. Yeah, it's a normal line item. Yes, it's not a, nothing unique about it. Let's see. I want to make sure I can find that.
It's in the binder.
It is, on 72 in your binded copy. It's on, about the 7th or 8th line, operating services, bad debts. It's a $50,000 line item, so it is in your binded book. It's just the pages are a little different when he's referring to pages.
I only have a couple more questions.
Mm-hmm.
On page 11, it has, we have income from Cane River Brewing Company, but they're not operating. I was wondering what that income is. I was curious. Rent?
Well, they still, the lease is still for that building.
It's still
The lease
under-
is still under Cane River Brewing,
Oh, I
under
see.
that
It's not-
company.
it's
Yes,
not under-
no, it's not under Flying
Oh.
Heart directly, no, sir.
Okay. I was confused by that.
It's okay. That's okay.
So I have,
And,
I'm sorry, Eddie, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
To the spray park, since we're not utilizing the spray park anymore and it hasn't been used for 3 years, why are they having, so I see where you, in that one right there, it says 100%, but this one right here says 0% since it's not used.
Let's see. What page
No,
on
you end up, I'm sorry, you end up minimizing, so it did say 0.
So that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I think we need to put, that's come up a couple times tonight, and it's something that I thought about. We need to put serious thought as to what can happen there. I mean, just serious thoughts about that. I know it's come up, something I thought about, but we don't have a hard plan for it. But again, like Kevin said, at Parks and Rec, it's not in the best shape right now. So, okay. Any comments, questions from the audience? I know we had the, yes, ma'am. Come on forth, Ms. Thompson. I know we had the citizens, the hearing earlier, but there may be something else.
Deborah Thompson, and I'd like to make a suggestion about the budget meeting.
Okay?
4:30 in the afternoon is a little early for people who are working. So there were very few people here earlier to, look at this. The other thing is, everything that you're talking about now, I've never seen that. I mean, I did not, and I did. Ms. Clarissa was very nice in letting me come in and look through the book, but the book was thick, and I really didn't have time to do a whole lot of looking. So the things that you're addressing with salary and all of those things, we've never seen that. So this pamphlet is nice, but it doesn't really give us information about what's happening. So for transparency, I think we need to know, under each of these categories, where the taxes are coming from, how much licenses, what are the licenses, what are the permits? I would like to see some way for us to get all of that information about salaries. I worked for the county in a different state for 29 years. My salary was public information. The President of the United States' salary is public information.
Public information.
All of our elected officials are public information. That information needs to be public to us. We need to know who's getting paid what, We need to know where the money's going. We need to know all of that. And so there needs to be some way for us to have information that you have access to, so that we might have an opportunity to look it over before the budget meeting. And I would also suggest that we don't do the budget meeting the same night we have a regular council meeting, because that's just a lot of talking, a lot of time that it's going to take to do that. So,
And let me say, while you're getting your thoughts, I'll say to your point, one time we did do, not this time, but y'all remember we met at the event center? It was on a night different from this. So, not this time, but we have done it in the past where we had our citizens' budget separate, away from here, different day, different time. But no, I take your point under consideration.
special funds, what's included in special funds? So we've got an operating budget that's $95 million, 95.7. We have special funds coming from somewhere that's not in this pamphlet, so we don't know where that money's coming from, and we
Right.
don't know how that money's allocated. So, the public needs to have more information so that we can ask questions about the budget. So how are you going to get all that information to us? I don't know.
Yeah.
But, some public way, maybe the newspaper, print off something so that, or put it out on the internet so I can download it if I want to print all those 250 or 300 pages or whatever it is. But we need to know this information ahead of time. So I would, and one other thing, the indirect expense. There's an indirect expense in the general fund by department, and that's 18% for the general fund. There's also an indirect expenses of $11 million in the utility department. What are those indirect expenses? Those things need to be itemized so that we know exactly where the money's going, where it's coming from and where it's going.
Yeah, it's your money.
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you for your
Well, and I'll say this,
opportunities to speak.
and we certainly take into consideration what you said about what should be added. We pretty much have all these areas of the pamphlet full. And the point of giving this is to say, okay, these are the highlights from the big 200-some-odd page. Because it's not, a lot of people are not going to read the 200-some-odd page, but these are the highlights
But people
from
want to
it.
know where the money's going. People want to know where the money's going for salaries. We want to know what you're buying, how many police cars are we buying? How many trucks are we buying? And, who's getting paid for that? And we want to know what types of bids went out, so that who bid it, who got the bid, and all of those things. We need to know that kind of stuff.
So, just one point, to control the final information going out and that being the only thing that pretty much is disseminated throughout the city, we try not to put out multiple drafts, because people may hold on to edited paperwork or, work in progress. But we do allow anyone, and you did, and I appreciate you come by and look at it in its entirety. We don't hold back anything. Also, when it's approved, it'll go on the website, and you can have that information at your disposal. And then also with the salary information, any information with the city is public information and can be requested at any time. But I actually agree that if we could have a forum outside of just a normal day, then that way we could present more information. We can maybe go into a little more detail, put together a presentation that really engulfs some of your most pertinent inquiries about the budget. So I agree.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I don't think we need to wait until the budget is passed before we find out what's in the budget.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We could open it up
Yeah,
a
do
little
a
bit
meeting.
more. Yeah,
Do a
open it
meeting
up,
before at the
yeah.
beginning
So
of
once you have a
April.
final budget that we're going to vote on, because they've got different copies today than they had before, and so.
Well, it's in a different form, I would say. That's what I would say.
It's the numbers, the budgeted amounts per department is not different. They were adjusted because of some things that we allowed each director to review their budget to see if there was any discrepancies or needs or anything that we missed, because of course, human error is definitely possible. So that was the corrections that were made. It was no other decisions made as far as cutting a person's budget, increasing it, changing it. Definitely not, any major shifts there.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
thank you,
giving me
Ms.
the
Thompson.
opportunity.
Appreciate
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
But I agree, maybe in the future, just for transparency reasons, I understand what you're saying, is you can see the full budget if you go to our office, but you have to go to our office, and you have to sit there. Why can't the proposed budget also be put on the internet, on our website?
Yeah.
And it just, as a proposed,
I asked that question earlier.
I don't know. Saying,
Okay.
I don't know if that's allowed, but if
All right.
it is, why, might as well do it.
No, we take that in.
Because if you
in-
go to a hearing, I mean, you don't have enough time to look at anything.
Right. Any other comments or questions?
Mayor, we've had a lot of great questions, and really based on the timing of everything that has gone on the last couple of weeks, this budget hearing was done the same day we're voting on it, and I sense within my fellow council members, there's no huge issue, but I don't feel the comfort of it yet. And with two different books and all that, I would make a motion to table it and bring it up at the next meeting.
Second.
Let me ask it before how does that help us with our time? I know we're constitutionally bound to have it out by a certain time. So Stacey, what do you yield that?
Right, so, being that we're in the meeting and we're deciding to table it, is a little hard for me to assure that, because based on the legislative auditors, we have to have it approved within a certain amount of days within the end of the fiscal year. So
We may have to
if
call for
I'm-
a special
And
meeting.
I don't
We
wanna
may,
do
and we
that.
definitely may have to call for a special meeting. I guess we can review that on tomorrow. But we do have to have it approved within a certain amount of days before the end of the fiscal year. And we are less than 45 days to the fiscal year, being that the end of our fiscal year is May 31st. So we just want to assure that we are within all guidelines there.
Sure,
Yes, sir.
and I agree
Yes,
with that.
Because is this 2 weeks in between
Yeah.
or 3 weeks? Because when you have that fifth week,
You have the fifth
you have
week.
3 weeks.
Yeah, so it could possibly be 3 weeks.
24.
Is it 3 weeks?
30. Is it the
So we
30th?
can,
It'd be the,
Okay, so we're
be
3
the
weeks. We're 3 weeks from a meeting.
No.
Typically, we're 2 weeks.
no, I think we're two. It's
We're
two.
2 weeks away from a meeting, because this is.
Okay.
next week.
it by one day.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
good. Yeah, so, but
Okay.
we can review
45
that.
days.
So we'll have to talk about a special meeting. Hey, we got a motion on the floor. We got a second. Kevin has a question.
second.
Come to the microphone, please, sir.
Kevin Shanahan, Natchitoches Parish Journal. We've spoken to several people have spoken about items being different on different iterations of the budget. I'd like to know, when was the final budget, when was the budget finalized?
Sid, I'm so sorry.
Okay, we've had several people talking about different iterations of the budget, works in progress, drafts, or whatever. When was the budget finalized?
So the budget was finalized, well, the draft was, the current final draft was given to the council at the last council meeting, and that's when the introduction of the ordinance was given. And then today, they got it's just a binded copy. Now, the only change, of course, I mentioned before, the only change that was made was within a person's particular department. The amount for that department was not increased or decreased. Their funds that were in a line item were reallocated.
When did those
Yes.
reallocations occur?
Within that 2-week span. Yeah, from last
So
meeting.
sometime between today and the last meeting? the
April
reallocations
10th was the last meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, we got a motion. I think we got a motion and a second. Ms. Sykes, you got something?
Who seconded?
I seconded.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Sykes, roll
And
call.
so, wait, for the record, I'm looking at the home rule charter, And it says, "The budget shall be finally adopted not later than the last regular meeting of the last month of the fiscal year."
Okay, great.
So I think we should be okay.
We should be.
The last
For the
second
May.
meeting in May.
Yes, so
Yeah,
you have
so it'll
May
be the
the
fir-
8th.
okay, well,
and
that's
So we don't
June
have to do a
2nd.
So we should be fine. Okay.
I
We
think
should do a
so.
regular meeting, I mean.
What
Yeah.
about advertising and that kind
Well,
of
we've
thing
already
after
done
the
all the
vote?
Yeah,
advertisement
yeah.
that we need to do.
Okay,
So
So
at
we're
this
com-
point,
And it'll be
you would just
advertised again,
finalize
of
it.
course.
Okay.
It'll be published again, of course.
yeah, I just don't want that to push
No, I
us
won't need
to
to
the
publish it
deadline.
again. I mean.
Well,
unless
when,
it-
I guess I mean, you know how you put the email out, then you come, I
Oh,
mean, that'll be
yeah,
done
of
again.
course, Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. We'll deal with the budget at the next meeting. All right, we have an ordinance for introduction, and that is Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 025 of 2023 for introduction, which is an ordinance authorizing a franchise in favor of Paul's Party Boat to operate a tour boat business within the city limits of the city of Natchitoches, confirming the term of the franchise, conditions and consideration for said franchise, and authorizing the mayor to execute the said franchise agreement on behalf of the city, providing for advertising, further providing for severability, and further providing for a repealer and effective date of ordinance. And
Please silence all cell phones. Can I ask that you silence all cell phones?
whereas this is for introduction only. And of course, we know it's the Paul's Party Boat, which operates on the riverbank.
Everybody knows Paul's Party Boat. There's a picture of it right there. This is typical. It's an annual renewal, is it, Ms. Stacy?
Yes.
Annual renewal.
Well, actually, it's for 3 years.
3
3
years.
years, no.
Okay, for 3 years. So something we've seen, I think we see a benefit to it. All right?
This
Anyhow.
says, whereas the proposed extension is for a period of 1 year with an option for one additional year term. So is it 1 year or 3 years?
So saying 1 year, then an additional term?
An additional term of 1 year. So what is it?
Randy's got something.
You did for 1 year with a 1-year option, then we renewed for the 1-year option. Now it's coming up for the 3rd year down there. But this,
Okay.
I think they may have done it as a 3-year lease starting now.
Okay. And again, it's just being introduced, so if we need to clarify, we could do that. Council comments or questions here?
No, we
About
just need
this?
some clarification as to if it's 1 or 3.
Okay. All right, so she asked for
Let me
clarification
vote
on
on
whether
it.
it's 1 or 3, and we can certainly get that. Again, if there are questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Call me or whatever,
Okay.
and we'll put you with the right people, okay? All right, last item on the agenda, we have a resolution, and that's read by Councilwoman Washington Eli, excuse me.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 034, 2023, a resolution appointing Rasul Kamar, can you pronounce your middle name? Kareem Abdullah, I apologize, as a member of the Natchitoches Fire and Police Civic Service Board, whereas the term of the office of William
Pinnacle, I guess.
Finnicle as the Governor Authority Board member of the Natchitoches Municipality Fire and Police Civil Service Board will expire May the 8th of 2023. And it says the same thing for line 1. Now there be resolved that the city of Natchitoches does in legal session convene this hereby appoint Rasul Kareem Abdullah as the member of the Natchitoches Municipality Fire and Police Civil Service Board for the city of Natchitoches. And I'm Move to adopt resolution number 034, 2023.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We've got Mr. Abdullah here with us today. I thank folks who worked in the city for a number of years, the Eds, Randys, Matts of the world, Chief Wynn, even Collins, Rock. I think you know Mr. Rasul Abdullah as a city employee. I want to give him an opportunity to come and say whatever he would like to say, but he's a lifelong resident, lifelong resident of the city of Natchitoches. He has, he's a father, he's a husband. I think just about a month or maybe 2 months, he was here with his mother. She was being recognized. His mother's a pillar in this community. He is a stand-up individual and somebody who has worked in the civil service arena, if I could say it like that, before. So I think this is a worthy appointment to an expired term at this particular point. So I don't think he desires to speak, but council, again, I shared some information. I know there's some things we skipped over. He and his brother, they feed individuals, and they don't make any fanfare about it. He probably doesn't even want me mentioning it now, but they, out of their own pockets, they go around certain days throughout the month and feed members of the community. No Facebook posts, no Instagram, nothing on TikTok. They're just doing it out of the good of their heart, and so we appreciate members like that of our community. Council, I don't know if you have any comment. If you have a question, he may not answer it. No, but no, I don't know if you got any comment or question.
Abdullah, thank you for accepting. I think you're going to do great.
And as I shared, this is one of those appointments where just being available to do it. I don't think the meetings are too long. We have to have them once every quarter. Some important civil service matters that we take care of, calling for the test, got to approve positions. So as long as you're that, and he expressed to me that he's going to be available. So that's what we really need.
Good deal.
Okay? All right. Any public comments or questions here? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Stacy, I think we got a motion and a second. All right, roll call vote.
Eli?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Harrington?
Yes.
PT?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. All righty. Oh, what happened?
So I want to go back to ordinance number 025 for a policy party vote. So the term of this franchise shall be for a period beginning November 1st, 2022 and continuing through October the 1st, 2023, but shall be automatically extended for additional 1-year period, i.e. from November 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2024.
So he's
That-
early.
that's
This is early,
Yeah.
That's clear.
right? It's pretty early though, right? Because he doesn't expire yet, right?
Well, it's for, the term of this franchise shall be for a period beginning November 1, 2023 through October 31st. So we didn't quite get it on the books in time for.
I got
There
you.
was just, I don't know.
I see,
for
so
what
we're not early.
reason, But Mr. Paul continued with his franchise payments. And
I got you.
It's just not convenient for him or
we're catching
whatever the
up.
may be.
Yeah, so we're catching up. Okay. No, I got it. That makes sense. Thanks a lot for that clarification, Ms. Stacy. All righty. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. You want to bring it to me? No? Announcements, look, download Go Natchitoches app, download Regroup. Thankful we hadn't had to use it, but you don't know. You know, it's like that saying, I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So Regroup helps us to get out those information. There's a few more announcements we'd like to share. Of course, our next meeting is May 8th. Farmers Market has started back. I think it's been great. I was able to come by just for a little bit. They always rag on me for being a little late to it. But anyhow, the Metamorphosis on the Cane is happening this Saturday. Great event. Randy's crew does an awesome job at it, all right? So again, 8 to 12. I think we got something else. Women's Resource Center giveaway. It's going to be Friday, April 28th, this Friday, from 2 to 4. and that's at 107 North Street here in Natchitoches. Children's clothing, sizes, newborn to 2T. So again, help us to get that word out. That's so noble. All right? Lunchtime Lanyap, Cafe Frederick General Mercantile. This is going to be also Friday from 12:15 to 12:45, free and open to the public. And it's going to be, usually these are at the museum, but where does that one say? Small print. Is that the store? Is that Cafe Frederick, actually? All right, is that Cafe Frederick? Cool. All right. Okay. All right, we have another deal. This is Voices for Autism, and there's a Puzzle for Autism tournament happening on Saturday the 29th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and they've got the rules and regulations. Tickets can be on Eventbrite. Location is Northwestern Hills Golf Course, all right, and the address is given there, so tells you when the doors open and everything. So such a really good cause as well. All right. All right, Louisiana Small Business Loan on the 27th at 3 p.m. That's this Thursday at 3 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. Y'all may remember Mr. Tom Watkins came and he appeared. So they have a program for businesses that existed. Hurricane Laura time, Delta Ida, and then the May 2021 flood, on or after. So on or before May 2021, on or before, or y'all know, I'm trying to get it right. Y'all know what I'm saying. But if you experience that in your small business, we want our small businesses to come for a grant opportunity, loan opportunity, low interest loans, to be a part of that. Again, that's the 27th at 3 p.m. So help us to get the word out for that. We want our small businesses to have this and be equipped with this information. All right, we'll hit it again. And then we announced this for Juneteenth, the 17th. We've got a really big star that we're going to have, and we're probably going to announce that in the coming weeks. Got a meeting this week with the Juneteenth committee, but we're looking for pop-up shops, and they can call Mrs. Clarissa Brown Smith. That's 318-357-3825. We're having a basketball tournament as well on that Saturday, the morning part, then the pop-up shops, then the Freedom Festival with food trucks and Kids Zone, and the pop-up shops will be there with music, local talent, but also some talent that reaches beyond being local, and then fireworks is how we'll conclude at around 9:45. So hoping everybody is in town to come to this event on that particular day. That might be the last one, Steve? I think so. Is it? Okay. All right. We asked a question earlier during the budget meeting, and Dr. Parker, we asked about the facade grant. She has the information she wants to share.
Yes, y'all had asked, and I apologize, we didn't have it at our fingertips, but we made sure, our team made sure that we had it. The companies are B&B Construction, Contractor, I'm sorry. Pikes, Ronald, and Sheila, Relax Inn Project, Red Place Project, Bayou Soul, and Sweeties, Multi-Man, and then we have 3 pending. So we just wanted to make sure that the public knew that the Community Facade and Economic Enhancement Committee is on the job.
Thanks a lot for that. So there are folks who, and that budget, we're trying to include the next round, which will be Kaiser, we're hoping, and South Drive, if nothing changes about that, okay, to get that next round, but they have been impact. All right. At this time, we've been here a long time. We'll hear a motion from council.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a